the lord of the shadow creatures Kurnugia. In a world hidden from the eyes of men, an ancient power ruled over all creatures of darkness. The lord of the shadow creatures, a being of unimaginable power and wisdom, ruled over vampires, werewolves, demons and witches. His castle, an imposing building made of black stone, stood on a lonely mountain and was only accessible to the bravest. One dark evening, when the moon was blood-red in the sky, the most powerful representatives of the shadow creatures gathered in the great hall of the castle. The lord of the shadow creatures had called them all to bring them an important message. "My lord. They are here as they commanded." "Ah, Marie, what did you expect, that they would refuse me? They all know what it meant for them not to obey. Just like you." Kurnugia looked angrily at Marie. "What did I command them to do hundreds of years ago? Forgive me, my lord, but I fear I have forgotten. Please be gentle with me." "Maria," he said seriously, and then Kurnugia laughed heartily, "you have served me for over 500 years. And my wish for you was that you call me by name. I beg your pardon, but you know my attitude. You are our lord and master, it is not proper. I understand your concerns, but when we are alone, I will be truly pleased. Now we must first welcome our gesture." Kurnugia rose from his throne and spoke in a voice that echoed through the hall like thunder. "My loyal subjects, welcome to my home. I have invited you to speak about a threat that affects you all. People, driven by lust for power and selfishness, threaten not only their own existence, but yours as well. Their insatiable greed for resources and their ruthless wars have upset the balance of the world. If we do not act, the shadow world will perish. The time has come for us to unite." Those present murmured among themselves, but the lord of the shadow creatures waved his hand to silence them. "We must negotiate a peace among ourselves in order to work together against the threat to humans. Vampires, werewolves, demons, warlocks and witches, we must all put aside our old feuds and fight as one." A vampire with blood-red eyes stepped forward, bowed and said, "But my lord, how are we supposed to confront humans? They are numerous and have powerful weapons. You also know how powerful humanity has become." The lord of the shadow creatures smiled mysteriously. "Yes, my ancient friend, I have known you for thousands of years and I know that you have your people under control. We will use your own weaknesses against you. Your greed, your fear and your ignorance will be our strongest allies. But first we must learn to trust each other and work together." A witch with long, black hair and sparkling eyes stepped forward. "My lord, I am ready to use my magic for the good of all. But how can we ensure that this peace lasts?" Kurnugia nodded approvingly. "You will make a pact that will be sealed by the blood of all present. This pact will bind you together and ensure that we are strong together. The blood of all of you will mix and from this day on you will be one people. A people of different species, but still one family." The people present agreed and so the pact was made. Each shadow creature sacrificed a drop of his blood, and the lord of the shadow creatures spoke powerful words that sealed the pact. From that moment on, they were all connected by an invisible bond that made them stronger than ever. Together, they began to pool their strengths and make plans to confront the humans. They used the darkness of the night to operate unnoticed, using their supernatural abilities to confuse and weaken the humans. The humans, who had no idea of the shadow creature's existence, were soon terrified. Their power struggles and wars were disrupted by inexplicable events, and they began to doubt their own sanity. The shadow creatures used this confusion to pursue their own goals and restore balance to the world. But the battle was far from over. The humans were tough and resilient, and it took all their strength and ingenuity to finally banish the threat. The lord of the shadow creatures led his army with wisdom and determination, and after many hard battles they finally succeeded in bringing the people to their senses. People realized that their greed and quest for power had brought them to the brink of the abyss. They began to change their ways and live in harmony with nature and the other beings of the world. The peace that the shadow beings had made among themselves eventually extended to humans, and a new era of balance and harmony began. The Lord of the Shadow Beings returned to his castle, satisfied with what they had achieved. But he knew that vigilance must never be relaxed. The darkness and the light must always be kept in balance, and he was ready to use his power and wisdom to maintain that balance. And so the Shadow Beings and humans lived in a world where they respected each other and fought together for the good of all. The Lord of the Shadow Beings remained a mysterious guardian who watched over the balance of the world and ensured that the darkness never gained the upper hand.